Okay, so don't ask me why I was thinking that this lipstick would be perfect with this shirt. Um, it is what it is. Oh my gosh, it is. I feel so blessed. I was thinking that this lipstick would be perfect. I feel so blessed. Can I tell you that? Can I say that again? I feel so blessed. Yeah, yesterday was so good for me. I came on talking about just gratitude and just how blessed I was, and then had a magical day, just a magical day. And magic, I should start calling it Magical Mondays, and stand in the expectancy that something amazing is going to happen, because it did. I was just, yesterday was just magical for me. And I hope that it was magical for you as well. No matter what it was that you did, or where you went, or who you encountered. As I sent out my blessings for you, I was sending them out for myself. And oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What a fabulous day I had. And I will tell you too that I went to see the movie Teal, and Teal was it was, oh, talk about tenacity of spirit, tenaciousness. I think that just being you know, knowing that your purpose expands beyond just yourself, right? And seeing it in every aspect of your life is amazing. Good morning, Twyla. How are you, dear? I hope I was just saying that I hope everybody who was on here yesterday, I ended up doing a prayer yesterday, and I hope that everybody had a magical day like I did. And I'm so grateful, so grateful, so grateful. I just wonder, I wonder if other people get to have these amazing experiences like I do. It's good, it's good, it's good. And when you have them, do you perceive them as such? Right? There is this tendency that people have to, um, rather than celebrate others and their experience, to sit there and get caught up in comparison and thinking about what somebody else has, what you don't have, blah 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 blah. It just, for whatever it is that you are doing, I just trust and hope that your experience is just as magical as, yeah. Or here's the other thing. What I know is that when I have been in doing my prayer work, um, sometimes my prayer work means that I'm asking for something that is not quite within my reach. So what needs to happen is the ground needs to be prepared for me to come into the fullness of what I have made a request for, what I have demanded from the universe. And so in that, there is sometimes this preliminary work that needs to happen. It's kind of like, let me say, like, I want to say like planting a garden or building a house. There has to be prep work that is done before what you want is, or what you've requested can come into fruition. So if I'm planting a garden, the first thing that I know is that I have to go out, and I'm not talking about testing soil, but I need to cultivate it. I need to prepare it to receive what I'm about to put in it. The same may be true with your life. or anybody's life, if you are praying for something, there is a process involved. Sometimes we want to just, yes, it's possible to say, whoop, there it is. But then do you have the framework to sustain what it is that you receive? And so, the parable and I'm going back to this, yeah, the parable of the people who built a house. One built their house on sand, one built their house on I can't even think of it now. On rock, somebody else built their house on something else. They build these houses and you build them up on certain things that doesn't always have the ability to sustain the structure that you built it on. And so sometimes what needs to happen is that there are certain things that need to come into fruition in order for you to see what it is that you have requested come about to be able to sustain itself. And so I know, like for me, when I am planting a garden, I got to go out there and I got to turn over the soil. I got to get rid of all the rocks. I got to weed it and get all the stuff out that might inhibit my ability to grow before I plant. And even in doing that, I know that if I don't tend it the entire time, there are things that come up in there that'll choke out even what I've planted. So it is this constancy sometimes of making sure that we are walking in alignment with what we say that we desire. And sometimes that commitment is bigger in some areas than others. So like for me, in order to do what I do, this stuff here, or whatever it is that I'm doing, I have to make sure that I'm putting something in so that I get something out. That means my meditation, that means my reading, my, just the quiet contemplation, the journaling, all those things that happen outside of or before I get to this place. And if that is not the work that I'm doing, then this doesn't flow as easily. So it's not to stand in resistance to what it is that you're requesting, or to even think like, oh, it hasn't shown up yet, so therefore it's denied. No. It is recognizing that there is always like this exchange going on. And so there's something that I'm putting out and something that I'm receiving back. It is that type of thing. And so I'm grateful for my experiences of yesterday. Grateful for conversations. I'm grateful for so much. And even as I endeavor to make the tweaks that I know that I now need to make in my verbiage and how I approach things, even as I do that, I know that it gets me further down the line of where I desire to be. It's so good. So I'm thankful Tuesday to you as well, Ruth. Yesterday was a magical Monday, and I'm looking for some kind of enchanted thing to say for my days, because what I desire is enchantment and magic and it's just above and beyond. Let's stretch, let's live out on the edge, like, of all of this. And so, yeah, thankful, but I am I want something tantalizing. I want to call forth that. So, let's keep, if I'm requesting help at keeping us at the forefront of yeah, the magic, the magic, the magic, the magic. What does that look like? What does it mean? Magical, magical. And so I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Yay, yay, yay. Even in the rain, I'm grateful that, one of the things that took me a second to get on here was that I heard the garbage trucks coming down the street, and I had not pulled when I'm outside, because the dogs are following me, I don't always open up the fence and go to the street to do what I need to do. So I pulled my garbage can right to the fence and left it there last night with the idea that I'd have time to go out there and get it. And so thankfully, the guy who who picks up my stuff went in the yard, got my stuff, took it out there, emptied it, and then put it back in my yard. I love how yesterday, let me say this too, because yesterday while we were standing in line at the Teal movie, we were standing in line to get some popcorn, and the guy in front of us ordered some stuff. And when he got the stuff, he realized, he was like, "Oh, this is more than what I wanted." He's like, "I didn't have," and I was like, "Well," I said, "you get to share it." I said, "Just pass it down." Transformational Tuesdays, yes, to you too, my brother Everett. And so I was telling him, I said, "Well," I said, "just take it and pass it down." And so he turns around and he hands us this free pizza, and he says, "Well, why don't I just pass it out now?" He was like, "You take this one." And it was just hot out of the oven, and free pizza. And it was just like one of those kind of days, just like pop, just magical stuff happening for me all along yesterday. So if anything magical happened for you yesterday or over the weekend, yeah, please share, because I think that and I mean, it's sometimes it's the little stuff. That's not the only thing that happened. It's not the biggest thing that happened, but it was just one of those when you stand in this awareness that anything is possible, right? Anything is possible, then I tell you, it's so good. It's so good. So so it's Tuesday, and it is yesterday I was grateful. I was walking in gratitude, and all these amazing things happened for me. Even the insights and the awareness, the stretching beyond where I had even imagined or considered. Thinking about, even as I talk to you about speaking things into the atmosphere, even about paying attention to the words that I choose, my word choices, and what I'm bringing about. So when here's what I want to share with you guys. I had a dream last night. It was really interesting, but I had a dream that I had transitioned, I had passed. And it wasn't like a sad thing. It wasn't like me crying or upset about it, but I remember in this dream that I was worried about those, or concerned about those who I had left. And I kept thinking to myself as I woke up, like, there are some things that I need to be mindful of tying up loose ends. And, I talk often about this idea of scattered energy, and that scattered energy is sometimes this waste that we do. It's like leaving a refrigerator door open. How do we bring closure to things? How do we make sure that we're being mindful every step of the way, that this needs to have, you know, at the end of my sentence, I need to put a period, or at the end of something, I need to claim it as done. And so yesterday, as I was going through and thinking about how I wanted to proceed, I was thinking about it in the sense of, what am I already doing? And then is it that I need to finish, to complete, to claim as done? So, you know, I was going through and I was thinking about, thinking about all of that and putting those, as if you can magically kind of make adjustments wherever it is that you are. So when I say that I was in this space of just really amazing contemplation, thinking about so much. It was so good. So I got a lot of work to do. I mean, we all have work to do, but I know that I have a lot of work to do. And I am appreciative to be on the planet at this point in time. If you could think about yourself, and that there is going to be a time at which there's a period, or you fill in the number at the, you got the beginning, you got a dash, and then you've got the ending part, that there is going to be that number for us. There is going to be a date, a time where that is done. And so what if, have we completed the task? I wrote my obituary years ago. And in it, I remember writing down what I think is the life that I'm leading. I used to tell people that when I go, I did not necessarily want for a minister to deliver my eulogy. I wanted somebody to put a microphone out in the audience and let people who have known me, who have interacted with me, who've been, touched by me in somewhat kind of way, to speak about my life, right? I don't need somebody to kind of like get up there and make up things, what she meant to me. I hope that I'm living that life right now. But in that, I wrote the possible. At the time when I wrote it, I said, when I wrote it, that I was not married. I said, but if I am married, I married my Moses. I married the man who had the depth and the intelligence to know when to take off his shoes, to approach things and recognize the sacredness of them in the moment. And I meet so many people who are so oblivious. It's like, if I could equate it to the card in the tarot deck that talks about the fool. The fool goes through life without, like Mr. Magoo, so to speak, without seeing all the things, the dangers, the toils, the snares, the stuff that comes up. They just kind of like go through life just falling forward. In that movie last night, Teal, the way that it was depicted, Emmett Till had gone into this store and he saw this white woman and he looked at her and he says, "Oh my God, you're beautiful." And then, told her she looked like a movie star and actually whistled at her, for which he was then killed. Um, and and so even though he had been warned over and over again, he didn't have that spirit that recognized the dangers that were present. We don't all, I love the idea that some of us get to go through life and see the joy. I am one of those people. I want to see the joy. I want to see the juice. I want to see the good. But I also want to have the awareness of when I need to stop and pause. I want to have the awareness, and don't get me wrong, I recognize that this was a 14-year-old kid that we were talking about, but we have sometimes 40 and 50 and 60-year-old kids that don't have the awareness of when there is a moment when we need to take a pause, to stop and recognize what's going on, I keep saying this word, to breathe into that moment and allow ourselves to hear and to see. I mean, there is so much that goes on in the world, and if we are just not if we're not aware, then we won't know when it's time to sit back and listen, to sit back and just be in the moment. Oh my gosh, and so so it's my desire, like, God, help me see, so that I might have ears to hear, eyes to see, that I might have the sense within me to feel those moments that matter. And so when I am, as I move through, yeah, it may seem like I'm at times a dilettante, that like a butterfly, you dance around, and you light here and you light there and all of that stuff. But here's the other thing that I know, that even in my doing that I have this amazing, yeah, it's good, because there is this amazing sense of hindsight, that even if I miss something in that moment, as I look back on it, as I reflect on it, there's the richness also that I get to see. I, I, I took classes, and I've mentioned this before. I took spiritual insight, spiritual development classes where you sort of read people's energy, auras, and all of that stuff. I don't know that I see auras, but I can sense things about people. I don't know that, I can also feel things about people, but I don't always acknowledge it in the moment. Mm. But there is this amazing thing that I have, that sometimes when I reflect on the moment and the encounter, I can see so much more clearly in hindsight. So I used to look and stare at people, because I love to. It's just a guilty pleasure of mine. So I look at people and I desire to see them fully. And but when I look away and then I think back on them, sometimes you can see energy fluctuations in the remembrance of people that you cannot see in the connection with them. That's the way sometimes it works for me. And what I am saying is that all of us have to find that ability, that awareness, and how it works for you. Because that it works for you, I am pretty certain that it does. But we don't always have the ability to stand in that moment and recall what it is that we can recall in that moment. It's good. It's good. It's good. All right. So I want to I am going to do I, I literally think that in this book that I've been working on, I literally think that I have 3 paragraphs to go. 3 paragraphs. And I really would like to, just do these 3 paragraphs, not today. I want to do 1 paragraph today. And then do the other ones, because it didn't start with you is I want to put into the books and move on. And then I want to shift into a bridging book and talk about the bridging book. So I get excited about this. Yesterday I ran into some amazing people, and it's all good. So yesterday we talked, not yesterday, I think last week, as I finished up this, I talked about this idea of doing a review of this book, and to really talk about what it is that I gleaned from it. But here's what I think that for each of us we can do. What is it that vexes you? What is it that you feel is blocking you from being where you want to be? And don't get me wrong, because a lot of times we think this thing success, we think about what it is that we desire for our lives, and we put dollar amounts on it, or we put, I want to accomplish this, or I want that. A lot of times we have these notions that our own success is based on something that we are getting paid for, a monetary value. For some people, it will just be being able to sleep at night. I mean, if you could just think that a good night's sleep is a desire, for some people, it literally is just a good night's sleep. For some people, it is to not feel guilt around loving themselves, putting themselves first, good sex, loving relationships, self-acceptance, what you look like, how you think, how you act. I mean, for so many of us, the stakes can be down here, and they still be valid and important. Because what is valid and important and central for you is that there is no shade or no judgment on that. If you are aspiring to, say, for instance, material things, I get that. I get that. But don't just look at it that in a sense that we're going after the material stuff, because I will tell you, if you are thinking that it is the material things that render you worthy or deserving or whatever it is, there is nothing that you can add to you that makes you any more valuable, worthy, loved than you are right now. Nothing added. And if people are just worried about what it is that you have, what you've achieved, your title, all of this, if that is your dance that you're doing, there will always be like another level at which okay, so I got this and I got that and then, okay, now how do I up the game? You'll always be looking for something else, because it's not the stuff. It's not the stuff. Oh, I mean, when you think about it, it's so good. It's not the stuff. We look outward for something that is inward. If I could go back to I love that story of the Garden of Eden, and Reverend Cherie made us read it over and over again, and let it speak to us over and over again. And if I could go back and just talk about that initial thing, like all of a sudden here it is, and it's not all of a sudden, because sometimes it may seem like it was held within 7 days, but who's to say what a day is in God? Versus it could it be a century? Could it be 7 centuries instead of 7 days? Could it be something different? But there is this progression of time, and whether you're looking at the story that happened in Genesis 1 or the one that happened in Genesis 2, there is this idea that all of a sudden we took of this fruit of good, of the knowledge of good and evil, and all of a sudden there was a shift. And so if that shift is about reuniting where we knew we were one with God and with all things, to this idea of separation, if what we're doing is healing that idea, then it's not about anything outward, but rather about changing our own mind and the way we think. And so, therefore, I can sit here in my space and I can think about all those who have, who showed up on the scene. Okay, like asking for, okay, it's my turn. If you can imagine that as souls, we are back in, before we even get these bodies that we have now. And I'm so glad I chose this particular body. I love this body, right? But before we even got these particular assignments, this life that we are living now, we were sitting back as souls like, oh, like when you used to be in got your hand up and choose me. I can go and I can remind all of these people about who they are and their greatness. I can remember for myself, and then I can remind everybody else. And we think, oh, it just choose me. And then we get here and we totally forget about it. We get caught up in the drama and the pageantry. We're walking around like in the Wiz. Oh, the color of the day is green, right? Ooh, we hear the music and everything, and we think that the color of the day is cranberry, or the color of the day is this, right? And somebody tells us the color of the day is something else, right? Blue. I don't know. But then we think, okay, now if I could just get blue. Oh, come on. You ain't living on the Teletubbies, right? No. It's not about the outward stuff. It is about the inner stuff. What does that look like, and what does it mean? And so yesterday, as when I was ending up and I was telling y'all about this idea of our oneness, and if I would deny it for you, I am denying it for myself, that I can only be blessed to the degree that I bless. And so as I sent out that blessing for you, I got the blessing for me too. And whatever that may mean, there's no shade and no judgment on it. It is just, what does it mean for you to be living in that space, in the space of gosh, I want whatever you want for you, but let it not be trivial. Let it, at least it's like, can you imagine that here you can't be God given, sweetie? No, yeah. So imagine that back in the day, they talked about how when Europeans arrived on the African continent, they showed these Africans a mirror. They showed them a mirror. One of these things here that cost 99 cents. And they said that it was a magical glass. Look at this magical glass. I'll trade you. Now, telling this to people who don't have a concept of ownership, but telling people that I will trade you this for that. And because they hadn't been exposed to or seen this, they were thinking to themselves, oh my gosh, I got something amazing. I got something magical. Well, sometimes we are bamboozled into that same thing. We're going around and we get our fancy car or our fancy house and think that we didn't spend all our money, all our fortune getting this, thinking that now I'm, now this makes me important. Now this makes me valuable by the world standard. But what we've been sold is a bag of mirrors, I guess, of looking glass, of something that if we knew that on the grand scale of things, that we had that we gave away something really valuable, which is ourselves, us, our voice, the way we engage in the world. We've given something, we've traded off something extremely valuable for something that in the long run, in the scheme of things, is not. And so, when they talk about this idea of selling your soul, or trading yourself for the golden calf or 30 pieces of silver, it's because this has always been man's downfall, to think that the things out, those things has more valuable, or it has more value than ourselves, than our soul, than our attention, than our integrity, than so much. We've got to really look at this and really think about what it is that we're buying into. And let me say this, I know that we don't put a premium on relationships, right? We don't put a premium on that. We think that somehow, I don't know, what do we think? That it's too much trouble, or it's unnecessary, or but wonder if this idea of connection helps us to see the divine more clearly. That to the degree that we experience God in another or in ourselves, then we could see it in another. And then that becomes the practice ground for all of us. In A Course in Miracles, it says, just like, I want to tell you what the chapter is, but there's a season to everything. Everything under the sun, there's a season to it. And so sometimes in those particular seasons, we're meant to learn certain things. And if we are, if we're open and aware, then we will. We will. And to the degree that we see God in another, maybe it's to that degree we see it in ourselves. It's just, I love this stuff. Let me do this. Arriving at the finish line. No, let me go back here. So in chapter 10 of this book, It Didn't Start With You. It gave us some exercises that we could do to get us closer to the point where we understand what it is that we are doing. So exercises, rituals, practices, different things like that. So when I was saying earlier that I have certain things that I do on a given basis every single day so that I have more to pour out, that I have something to give when it's my time to give. Right. And without those practices, without coming to the things that I do to fill my own cup, I would have absolutely nothing to pour in your cup. So, what works for you? I mean, would it be journaling? Would it be going for a walk in the woods? Would it be walking down the street? Would it be, you know, what just learning and thinking about prayer? Would it be masturbating? Would it be just doing the mirror work and seeing the God in you? Would it be learning how to be present in the moment, right? How to, when you see a person, how to come fully and bring your attention to them and not what's going on in the room, but to pay attention to them. Is it breath? Is it breathing work? Is it magic mushrooms? Is it, I mean, it could be any number of things. Finding what it is that rejuvenates and gives, could it be listening to me every morning, right? Finding what it is that resonates in your own soul and then committing to doing that is an amazing thing. Somebody said to me last night when they saw me, they was like, oh, that's I don't know how she said it about that's a lot of dedication, or it takes commitment to show up or something on a daily basis. And I was thinking to myself, this enlivens me. This gives me joy. It's, so on one level, if it's about just, who's watching, the forward facing of it, yeah, okay, that's one level. But it enlivens and gives something to me. I try to be on time. I try to, so you'll know, like, okay, Sandra will be on here talking at a particular time. I try to be on time, but really the work that the stuff that I'm doing is because it feeds me. It helps me to stand up in the world. It helps me to think through my stuff, whether it's my issues or my problems, or to put my past in perspective. It does something for me. Course in Miracles tells me that man is generous out of his own self-interest. If I wasn't getting anything out of this, and sure, I ask and saying, hey, support me, because of course I need dollars just like anybody else. So I may say that, but the real thing about this is that it enlivens and enriches me, not monetarily, but spiritually, emotionally. And I feel that I am walking in my purpose when I am in this mode of expressing or letting spirit flow through me. I am in my sweet spot. And so if I just made it about, all of this other stuff, I probably wouldn't get the blessings that I do. But here's the other thing, one of the things I remember hearing, I went to see, what is that woman's name? She is a traveling minister. Oh, whatever her name is. I went to see her. She's kind of like, whatever. But I went to see her, and one of the things that she talked about is like, when we're planting seeds, and I used this analogy earlier, she's like, we can go to the door and just open up the door, which sometimes, you do. You open up the door and you throw a seed out the door and close the door back and forget all about that seed. But she says that when you're throwing seeds out, you want to not throw it just out the door where it can land on concrete, or it can land in some weeds. We all got weeds around our house, or little patches of area that nobody is caring for. They're going to be choked out and all of this other stuff. And she says, or you can throw it on fertile ground. ground where you know something is going to come up, where it's going to give you something back, right? And so that's what I do, is I cultivate my soil so it becomes fertile ground. And so that when things come up, they are coming up because that's what my purpose was for them to do, is to come up. I still got this garden outside that I need to start harvesting the greens out of there. I think you're supposed to harvest the greens after the first frost, but whatever the case may be, it is that, you know, that we are purposeful about what it is that we do. We don't just throw it out there. Like, there was some guy at the movie last night who pulled out his phone and started listening and shoveling through different stuff. And it's like, I just sit there and I'm amazed at the things that people let go into their psyche, right? Things that have no ability to do anything other than to give you a belly laugh and maybe give you a jaded sense of people and what life is all about. Sometimes these things do absolutely nothing to elevate your consciousness, but you know, that's how some people like to roll. Trash in, trash out, right? Good in, good out. It just, no shade, is just choices that we make. And recognize for every choice that we make, there is something, there's cause and effect. There is stuff that happens in the universe. So I like to be intentional. I like to come in and do what it is that I do. I am that person that recognizes, and you probably too, that recognizes that, oh my God, that I have been gifted and blessed for something. And you have been gifted and blessed for something. And so to do that, and to do it with, the word that came up was reckless abandon. But I had to stop myself because I was like, am I doing this with reckless abandon? I mean, certainly there are times when, good morning, Tim, and Mike, did I say good morning to you too? I did, I think so, but good morning. But there are times when I feel as if I come on here and, you know, there are some, I try to reach down deep and pull up something worthy of, I can't even say that. I can't even say, I don't want to say worthy of your attention, because, you know, whether you were here or not, I'm here. I'm doing this because it's for me. Reckless abandon means that I'm not sitting up in edit mode saying, oh, I can't tell y'all that. Oh, I got to keep that over here because this is my trump card, or blah, blah. I'm not sitting in that energy. I'm sitting in the energy of God, use me. And there's something that somebody needs to hear today that may only come through me. And I may gloss over it, I may touch on it, I may be a dilettante in it, but, you know, one of the things that I know is that sometimes when you hear stuff, you'll hear it again throughout the day, you'll see it again throughout the day. It's as if the universe is telling you, pay attention. The universe is speaking to you. And sometimes it is in moments just like this that we need to make room to clear off the deck. I used to tell people, when there was this one guy that I dated, and y'all know, no, y'all don't know this. I have not been a person who, when I dated, I'm not that person that hears wedding bells, or I don't think, oh, this could be the one. I'm not that person. Like, you know, usually I'm the person that when I start dating, I think to myself, if the person is right for me, the connection will arrest me to the point where I don't want to do anything else, or I don't want to go anywhere else. And so much of life I have gone through and thought to myself, like, when something, let me see what I am supposed to see. Give me eyes to see, ears to hear. Let me know when I'm in that moment, in a holy, sacred moment, right? So that I don't pass over it, that I don't, pass over. I don't pass it by and not recognize it. So I don't go around looking like, ooh, could this be the one? Ooh, can this be the one? But when I will tell you that when I met this one guy, a couple of relationships ago, it was so interesting because when he showed up, there was this, I had sense enough to know that this was something that was special for me. And without him asking or saying anything, I cleared the deck. It would be like me taking my arm and just scraping everything off this doggone table, just clear the deck. Bam. Because I knew that it was something that was special for me at the moment. Now, surely we have broke up, and I want to say we've gone our separate ways. We keep in contact with each other. There's always this, he's in my orbit and I'm in his, but we're no longer in relation with each other. But I no longer have to worry about a cluttered deck anymore. There's not clutter on my deck because I'm clear of what it feels like to step into a sacred moment. I hope and trust that your life is full with sacred moments that you recognize, not because you're grasping at something, but because you know what it feels like when you step into that moment. I always talk about when God uses me to answer a prayer, that the space around me begins to feel energized and pregnant. It's like there is something beautiful that happens that says, pay attention to this. And you don't ever know it until you step into it, that's what it is. When I step into the woods, it's as if I can step into some trees and feel that curtain drop down behind me, as if to say, ain't nothing in that parking lot, ain't nothing before you came to this moment. None of that stuff is important. Be present now. We've got to recognize these moments, because a lot of times, it's all the same, but it's not. It's not. I tell you, life is so good. Life is so good. It's juicy, juicy good. So I didn't get any of this done. I didn't get any of those paragraphs, those 3 paragraphs done. But hopefully, I trust that you got what you were supposed to get out of today. That you are aware, that you stand in awareness, and when it's time for you to take a pause, that you pause. Ooh, that reminds me of that song, Benefield. Everett from Cleveland says, I consider myself a spiritual empath, empathy, a spiritual empath. I think it's supposed to be. I bring to the world words and thoughts that are by the direction of God, to which I have no control. It is the premise of transparency that I speak about. And yet I am vexed in the belief that these actions are, let me see, that these actions are falling on deaf ears, as in some cases is the word of God. And yet I am vexed in the belief that these actions are falling on deaf ears, as in some cases in the word of God. Everett, don't worry about it. That's what I would say, right? And I'll tell you why. I never worry about whether or not people receive what I'm saying, because that's not my job. My job is to say it. Period. End of story. I have absolutely no control over it. None. So just say, do your part. Do your part. You know, put here to be a planter and a harvester. You're not put here to control nothing, to run nothing. That's God's doing. If you're given something to say, say it. Say it without, and this is one of the things that, you know, because what I know is I talk a lot. I talk a lot, and as y'all know, and I don't know all the time what I guess that's going Call of Duty. So I don't know all the time how people are going to receive it, if they're going to receive it, if they're going to be turned off by it or whatever. I don't know that. And it's not for me to know. It's for me to speak to what I receive. It's for me to say what it is that I say. So if, say, for instance, I start talking about masturbation, sexuality, all of those things, I know that there will be some people who will be turned the heck off as soon as I say the word. I have people who say to me, like, I can't believe that you're still interested in sex, or that you have that there will be people who say that kind of stuff to me, whether it's offline or in a message or whatever. And so I know that there are people who get upset or bent out of shape. But what the wonderful thing is that once I've said it and they heard it, they can't unhear it. And so if it was for them, then now all of a sudden it maybe brings in something that may not. I've planted flowers this year, and I put them in these flower boxes. And do you know, it took them doggone things until, if I planted them in May, let's say May, it took them all the way till August till they started coming up. And by that time I was frustrated. I could have planted some other stuff in there. I was so mad. Why you take so long to come up? But I know that ain't up to me. It's not my timing, it's theirs. So it could take somebody, they could hear something I say I said last year, and all of a sudden now it's starting to, it's starting to come up. It's starting to, bring something up for them. I'm not responsible for that. You're not responsible for that. You just responsible for saying what it is that you say. And then when somebody else is supposed to come along and water that, or when they're supposed to think about it, they think about it. They deal with it when they're supposed to deal with it. Getting caught up in whether or not somebody receives it or not, the heck with that. That's a waste of energy. As a matter of fact, it will mess with your own faith. So don't even do it. Because then all of a sudden you'll say, well, God, why? Why am there? Why are they not? I mean, could you imagine? Moses goes up into the mountain, right? To have a word with God. He's gone for 40 days and they done created a whole new God. And they out there dancing and partying, having an orgy on this new God. Now, he slaughtered half of them. And then the other half went with him and they still didn't make it into the promised land. I mean, the whole thing is about people who don't get it. I mean, they don't get it. But you know what? That you ain't worried about them. Do what you do. Do what you do. I tell you, it is. And when you do what you do without any expectation, without any attachment to who gets it and who doesn't, that's where your payoff is. It's in what do I bring? What do I bring? What am I doing? That's it. That's all what am I doing? God, let me find. I used to tell folks all the time, even Jesus said, occupy until I come. Occupy yourself. Do what you do. Do what you do. And stop worrying about whether or not people get it. Just keep, John the Baptist, I wonder how long he was out there in the wilderness screaming, repent, repent, do your thing. Do your thing. Don't even worry about it. And Tracy said people still need those messages of growth. Sometimes it's years later when they really receive it and act on it. We just don't know. No, we don't. We don't. Yeah. So I'm grateful for, look, not even being in a space where I question it anymore. Let me just say yes. And because here's the thing, if I sat in this thing of thinking, worrying about that kind of stuff, I probably would cut off my own flow. I'd be sitting up saying, what's the point? No, just do your stuff. And I used to tell people how I was at the church, right? When it's time for me to get up and speak at the church, I got up and spoke. I don't care if there was nobody in the room. I heard this guy say one time, he says that he would go in and he says, and he would pull out his stuff and he says, and he would talk to the empty seats and he says, pull out your Bibles, let's go, right? And I have gone into a church and talked to an empty church. I have gone into a room and started talking in an empty room. I did it when I was at CSU. I had a contract to do some kind of presentation at CSU. When I started out on that day, that thing was due to take place at noon. Do you think I waited until somebody came in the room? I was, especially because I was there and I had a contract. I was like, at noon, I started my presentation. By the time I got finished, my room was full. I don't wait for nobody. I'm not even backtracking because you heard what you were supposed to hear. Now, on here, if you want to replay it, that's great. It's here for you to replay. But I ain't sitting up worrying about who's listening and who's not, whether somebody's present or somebody's not. No, my job is to open my mouth and let it flow. The heck with all of that stuff. If that's my assignment, I'm doing my assignment, darn it. Yeah, that stuff, no. I mean, I tell you, I've done it at the church. All y'all angels, open up your books. We about to have some church in here. And at CSU, it was so funny because I started off with that empty room. And as people were going by and people were kind of, I mean, there was somebody that leaned, stuck their head and they looking in the door trying to see who I'm talking to. And I guess they started listening. So they decided to come in. And then somebody else decided to come in, and then another, and then another, and then a sister and a brother. All of them came in. And by the time I was done, that was good, right? I have gone to conferences and had other big name speakers be talking at the same time I am. And I'm thinking to myself, I ain't gonna have nobody in here. And by the time I'm done, it's standing room only, right? I just gonna show up and do what I do. I ain't worrying about it. I'm not stopping. I'm not second guessing. I'm not like, kicking my feet around. No, I got an assignment to do. Who receives it or that they receive it, not my concern. Not my concern. Don't you worry about it. If you feel guided to speak, speak. Y'all, that's for somebody. Maybe for Everett, maybe for you, right? Maybe for Tracy. If she's supposed to get out here and talk about sex until you can't talk about sex no more, right? Don't worry about what they think about it, whether they receive it, whether they doing it. None of that stuff is your concern. Do what it is you are assigned to do. How do you know you were assigned to do it? Because there's no greater joy in the world for you than that. If you're not getting joy from it, if all you're looking for is money from it, then you on the wrong assignment. You on the wrong assignment. You can think about that. What the heck gives you joy? All right, y'all. With that, I'm gone. I got work to do. I got my radio show should have been in last night, but I was at the movie watching TL. So I got work to do. So I got some editing and stuff to do. And I've been on here, oh gosh, I've been on here over an hour. So I love y'all. Speaking a blessing over you, that you might have your joy, find your joy and begin to resonate and live out that. Whatever that may mean for you. I got no judgments on what your joy could be taking a toothbrush and cleaning the grout. I don't care. If that's what gives you joy, then do that. Right? If your joy comes from being a mortician, do that. I mean, all of us have an assignment to do. Find your joy, find your truth, and do that. I bless you this day. I bless you this day. Yes, thank you, Ruth. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I'll see y'all tomorrow, and have a transformational, tantalizing Tuesday. All of those things. Make it magical. Yeah, just expect magic. Expect it. And when it shows up, have the courage to flow with it. All right. See ya.